Devil May Cry Season 2. It was okay, I guess. So, before I begin, I would just like to say if it looks like I'm a sweaty gooby goober, that's because I am. It's extremely hot while I'm recording, so if you hear a fan in the background, my apologies. And second, this is not Devil May Cry. This is Demons Possibly Shed Tears because almost everything you loved about Devil May Cry has been completely changed to somebody else's almost fanfic vision. Especially your characters. Every character you probably liked is, well, different. And we'll start off with the characters. Characters are more or less changed. Dante is not Dante, he is Duante. He is way too emotional. Even the Netflix advertisement says hot blooded, emotional, and all that. And this is an older Dante. He's no longer the younger Dante he was in season 1. So by this point, he should have at least grew some maturity. But nope, he still acts like almost a kid, a teenager. He outbursts a lot and all that. He is not the professional demon hunter, not cold hearted, cool headed. Like he always feels like Dante is in control of the situation in the games. This one he just feels like a bumbling fool that gets carried by everybody around him, cries, outbursts, and all that. I don't know. It feels like even reboot Dante. Say what you will about him, at least he had some charm, some spirit of the character. But this one just feels like it's a combination of Nero and Dante were, well, not completely Dante because Dante never outbursts like that. I don't know. Would I even say Dante? Maybe it's just Nero wearing a Dante costume. I'm not sure, but it is not Dante. He is way too emotional. He gets carried by almost everybody in the show. Heck, he feels like a side character in season 2 compared to Virgil. And I'm going to call him Virgil because even the Netflix advertisement on the t-shirt called him Virgil, so even they don't know what he is. It's not his actions that he does in this season. I actually liked some of the action scenes with him. There's a scene where, spoiler alert, Dante and Virgil fight. Kind of obvious, but also forgot to mention 5 minutes of non-spoiler and then 5 minutes of spoilers, so at the end there will be spoilers. They fight, and this fight actually looks pretty decent, but it kind of gets ruined by Dante like shouting and outbursting and all that, and I kind of just want him to shut up. Virgil is fine. I think his personality is somewhat more comical, but he still keeps like the cold approach. It definitely looks like an older Virgil though. Like again, it feels like it's supposed to be a DMC free, like when they both meet again, but they're younger. But in this show they look already like in their mid-20s, so it looks kind of off-putting that they're already adults, but they're still acting like this is their first reunion, like in the game when they're teenagers. So Virgil's cool. It's just that his backstory has been completely changed. They completely rewrite most of his character to the point where it's not even Virgil anymore, which I'll talk about in the spoilers. Lady is still Lady. Heck, there's even a joke, if you never watched season 1, she likes to curse a lot. There's a joke where a kid is there and she's all like language, and then she's all like oops. I guess even the 80 Siklar, I mispronounced his name, knows that he made a cursing foul mouth, which is not good character development. This isn't Has Been Hotel. Kind of just changed Lady to a cursor, which again, not the worst thing, but it gets very annoying after a while. Art animation is fine enough. There are some weird scenes that you can tell they cut corners, like Virgil slices a table, and instead of just showing the table get sliced into pieces, it just shows like squiggly lines around the screen, and then it just cuts to him jumping up and the table is like completely vanished. So they did cut corners, not a lot. You probably won't even notice it on your first watch, but some animation shots are a little bit choppy, but for the most part it is enjoyable to watch. It's nothing crazy, of course, but it gets the job done. Voice acting is alright. I think Jai Long Bush shouts his lungs out. It's just that I can't just unhear Nero, especially with a character like this that doesn't feel like Dante. But his voice acting, it feels like a long time since I heard Johnny unleash his fro like this. He sounds pretty good when you ignore the fact that he's not Dante, he just sounds like Nero. Virgil is alright. Robbie Damon, I believe, he's voiced a couple of stuff you may have heard him in. He's pretty good as Virgil. I did like him. There are some parts like when it feels like he's forcefully reading the script, and it's always a DMC reference of DMC5, Bury the Light, because this guy just throws everything DMC and then wants to make it his own show. So a ton of references that he just loves, makes Virgil's VA love to speak, which I'll talk about in the spoilers. But voice acting's alright, nothing crazy again. Alright, spoiler time. I do not like what they did with most of the story. The story, again, I don't know if I said this or not. I don't even remember, but the story is just the same as season 1. Bad guy tries to open portal to the demon realm. He does. Yada yada yada. Cool big fight scene at the end. I don't like how this whole series is basically a bunch of DMC references. DMC5, DMC4, DMC3, DMC2, DMC1, DMC 0.1. All of it is just jumbled together into one show. Heck, there's even a scene where this clown guy, who if you play DMC3, you know he's one of the big villains, Jester. He gets out the Virgil meme chair, the lawn chair, like a key jingling scene, like, oh, it's a meme reference, you love that. And every time Virgil, again, this is Virgil now, every time he speaks, it's always just a reference to DMC5, like, if you had your life, if you had my life, would I have yours, and all that, or I am the shadow that approaches the light, and all that. They are always reference dropping other works. They are always putting different villains, like the main villain from DMC2, the main villain from DMC1, the main villain from DMC3, and all that into one show. And it just feels very like, oh, I wanted to make my own DMC, so I'm going to take everything from the series and jam it into one show. It just really doesn't work. Like, you're trying to do the DMC free plot, but everybody's already aged up. And then you go back into DMC2's boss, and then DMC1 boss, and all that, which goes into another thing. Virgil's, his whole backstory has been completely changed. If you know Virgil, his backstory, he hates Mundus. He was a guy that was the fault for, sending those demons and then killing his mother and all that. He hates Mundus. He wants to defeat himself and embrace the power of his father's roots inside of him, his demon heritage. And this one, no. Sparta is just a bum-ass loser that worked for Mundus and just left his family because he got bored. That's it. Or at least that's what the main bad guy says. Who knows if he's lying or not, but again, is the only context we've been given in like 25 years of Sparta, the dad. So that's just this own universe, but it just feels completely weird to just say this badass dude that might have died in the original game. Nah, he just stopped being horny and left after his curiosity was done. So very weird choice to add that. Also, Virgil works for Mundus now. He believes that Mundus saved him when he was a kid, when he was getting ambushed by the demons. But it was all like a Madara thing where it was completely planned, and he just wanted Virgil to be his henchman, his number 2 right hand man. And at the end, he tells them, and it still ends the same way as DMC3, where Virgil attacks Moon, and he's all like, I want to be the demon emperor now and invade Earth. It's just very weird. Like, what is the point of this Virgil trying to get power again when he doesn't even respect his father anymore? I don't know. Just feels complete. Again, he knew that Mundus was like tricking him or something, but it just completely rewrites his whole character. It just feels weird. Again, I liked some of the action scenes he's in, but I don't know, this isn't Virgil. Most of the backstories, again, are Chad. Just can't get over the fact that this is not Devil May Cry. Most of these characters are different. You try to throw all these references into one big boiling pot and it just doesn't work. So I think if you see this as its own universe, which it is at this point because there are just so many things jammed together, it's just hard to ignore that most of it don't make sense because you're just jamming too many things together, but you really want those reference cookies. For a guy that tries to make his own work, he sure is taking a lot from other works. So I don't know. The Adi Shankar, he is supposedly the guy that made Castlevania great again, but when you look at the interviews, he's all like, "Yeah, Castlevania was great. Do you want to know the 17 different ways my grandma makes bread?" Like, he completely changes the subject on what he actually did on the show. So I think you can tell that he definitely put a lot of his own input on this, and it really just doesn't work. Again, it could be an enjoyable show if you just ignore all of the key jingling, but I don't know. I just think it's a meh watch. Nothing too crazy. It just feels very inconsistent. If you can get over that, you'll probably enjoy this season, but for me, it was just kind of eh. But yeah, I think that's about it. Take care.